Welcome to the She Births Show podcast, Season 2. I'm Nadine Richardson, mother, yoga teacher, doula, author and speaker. Founder of the world's only scientifically verified childbirth education program, She Births, and host of your She Births Show. We created the She Births Show on audio and YouTube as a place to inspire your birth, evolve your parenting and help you live a life that you love. Through the She Births course and community support, we are proud to have supported thousands of families with the education to facilitate a better birthing experience as well as better breastfeeding, including initiation and continuation. You can log into our free app and learn more from our videos and resources. Today's conversation is with She Births mum, Peta Kelly. You might remember Peta because she took part in our first live She Births show in Bondi as one of the powerful women who create peaceful births. Peta has also been featured in Forbes Magazine. She is considered one of the top 27 female entrepreneurs changing the world by Inc. magazine. She was actually a self-made millionaire by the age of 25 and proudly retired her hard-working single mum. She's also an author, a speaker, and a closeted stand-up comedian. Her fantastic books, Earth is Hiring and Earth to Kids, are well loved by our community, and she has just published a new book, also edited by She Births mum, Amy Malloy, Stop the Missing the Point. Hey, conscious people, you can enjoy your life too, which is a lot about Peta and what she stands for. So she's also the mum to two gorgeous little ones, and she also proudly talks about scripting her birth. Over the years, I've had quite a lot of mums now who have written their own visualizations for childbirth. And whenever I'm asked about it, of course, I highly encourage that you do it. I provide the background music from our visualizations for this very reason, so that you can just lie back in the bath and start to dream about your birth that you truly wish to have, because nobody can actually write the visualization for you. It's your birth, it's totally unique. Now, scripting is a little bit different to just the usual birth affirmations. It's kind of like an amped up, self-written story. So to story or script something, it has to have detail and feeling. It's written in the present tense, but I also believe it's different because it requires intuition, connection to your insight and glimpsing into the future, leaning into the best possible outcome for you. So it's a big commitment, right? Because with birth, we also don't know what cards are going to be dealt to us on the day. But this is what Peta did and what lots of other mums have done successfully too. So I hope it's an inspiring conversation for you. To write a script for birth indicates in a sense that you have some really strong connection and awareness between your body, mind and soul. It's kind of like a degree of mastery of the body, mind, and maybe even glimpsing that future. I really hope that this chat inspires you to clear the path for yourself to script the best birth possible for you. We are the stories that we tell ourselves, and our lives are being created from and in a narrative all the time, whether we're conscious of it or not. I have also put in our She Births Facebook community page a short visualization guiding you to writing your own script, which we'll upload to Insight Timer down the line. But right now, amidst this COVID pandemic, with so many restrictions and choices being taken away, there couldn't be a better time for you to come into your power for your life and for your birth. I really hope you enjoy. Today, the wonderful Peta Kelly is with us, and I'm so blessed. We're all so blessed to have her here on this conversation because she, when I met her, was one of the most positive people I've ever had come into my home to do their private She Births program. And I said to you, are you actually like looking forward to giving birth, right? And I think, what did you say?
I was like, I can't wait to be in labour. That's true.
So few people feel that. So few people actually think that. And so you had this particular mindset, and I think what you managed to do was kind of amplify and master, in a way, this body-mind connection in preparation for your birth experience. And more in our community, I'm seeing people starting to write their own visualizations, starting to really go beyond just setting an intention for birth. And that's why I really felt it was important for us to have this conversation around what on earth is scripting. So, yeah, in your book, Earth is Hiring, my favourite part was all the scripting examples. And I started scripting as a result of that. And yeah, and it really has changed my life. And yeah, I wanted to dive into a conversation around that. So how does that sound to you, Peter? Does that sound interesting?
Yeah. I mean, scripting is, firstly, I'm like, okay, I need to do it for my second birth, but I still feel like I'm riding on the coattails of my first, my first one.
Yeah.
But I've done a lot of work with this, with a man called Victor for about 6 or 7 years now. When I first got into like business, my first business, and I don't know how to describe him. I talk about him in the book a lot. I don't know how to describe him. I don't know, he does energy. I can go to him with anything, and he just helps, like puts the questions back on me and helps me see things differently, essentially.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of a wizard. And yeah, so he's been an amazing just teacher and mentor and friend to me. And when I got pregnant with Sol, because I've never had any, like I was really fortunate that my mum had 4 really smooth births. And she always spoke to me about birth as just being a miracle, and it was beautiful. And just, she was a single mum. So she that was her attitude to everything, she was, she just, you know what I mean? There was no,
I think she sounds, I've met your mum, and she comes across to me as very stoic, but not kind of like suck it up and just do it. There's like a real difference. And I think in that generation, there is a lot of people, well, it's just something you just do. You just bear it, you do it, and you don't talk about it. There's a lot of people in that old generation that refuse to talk about birth. You just suck it up, you just do it. It's a burden, it's a cross you have to bear. But your mum comes across as very strong, very straight, very noble.
She is, and she's got a huge heart, and she's, I mean, my mom and my nana and my nana's mum, they just had to go through stuff and be a sort of strength and bravery that I think I won't ever have to be. It's just insane, like what my maternal lineage had to be and what they experienced as mothers and as pregnant women, and just, there's so much there. So my mum, she is like the strongest person I know. And so when it comes to birth, she wasn't the type of person who would, she did have 4 natural vagina births in the hospital. And she just always said, Peter, it's what we're made to do. And it was beautiful. And it wasn't like a spiritual bypassing thing. It was like, that was genuinely how she felt about it. So I just grew up with nothing around it. I wasn't scarred by the movies. I didn't have people always in my ear like, oh my God, so painful. One of the greatest gifts she ever could have given me as a new mum. So, but so I didn't have anything around birth. I felt pretty clean and clear there, which is such a gift. I always talk to my friends about it. Most of them come into it and they're just absolutely shitting themselves.
Totally.
And that breaks my heart because they don't have a clean slate. They're not starting their story from scratch. They're carrying all these inherited ones that are so fear-based, and rightly so, because people have had these experiences which are,
I know.
traumatizing. So, but pregnancy, when I got pregnant with Sol, again, my mum, she used to always say, pregnancy was the healthiest time of my life. I took care of myself better than I ever did. But I was living in America at the time when I found out we were pregnant with Sol, and I later came home to Australia to birth her. But as soon as I found out I was pregnant, people all around, it was so strange. Like, I didn't have a doctor in the US. So when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, what do I even do? I had no idea. I started calling these medical centers to be like, should I get a blood test, whatever? And literally about 7 in a row said to me, they didn't say congratulations. And here's me, a first-time mum, like, I'm pregnant, so excited. They just said, well, don't come in until you've missed 2 periods, because, most of the time,
Oh boy.
don't come now. And that happened again and again and again and again and again. And just over and over. I was like, oh my God. So here's me just like, oh my God, should I even be happy? Should I even be excited now? Like, is it right that I'm like excited? So I started to like absorb this fear that was especially rife in the US. And then I would tell a couple of people that I was working with, and one of them said, before saying congratulations, just, okay, but don't tell anyone, because 1 in 3. And it was just one after the other. And it was only after I ended up calling this holistic women's center that they said, congratulations. I was like, thank you. About done. That's all I wanted. And so I called Victor the next day and I told him, and of course he was, congratulations, that's amazing. And I said, yeah, I'm so excited. And then out came this fear that I just picked up. And it was, what if it doesn't stick? What if I'm not? And it just came out. And my mum actually miscarried twins when I was a toddler, and I was right with her when she did in the bath. And I have that visceral memory as a very small person. And my mum, she was like, go back to bed, please, like a single mum's mindset. And I was like, no, I'm here. And I remember that in my body. But there was also...
there was a trigger then for you to be able to see that experience, to remember that experience, to heal it, no?
Maybe. And there was more too. Like there was other lineage stuff. There was birth, pregnancy, marriage, all the milestones in our life trigger whatever in our lineage wasn't healed. And I definitely experienced that. So my nana, there's just so much there, but my nana gave birth to my mum out of wedlock. So hid her under her coat for 9 months. And my mum was raised in the family home, but by her grandparents as the quote unquote parents, because in the Catholic world back then, it was just shame, And so my mum's dad abandoned them because they weren't married. And so my nana had this womb shame. And I mean, I love my nana. I'm so grateful that my mum grew up in that family home, but there's that whole story, and that's a whole story. And then my nana's mum, the woman before my nana, and my nana was one of my best friends growing up, so we had a beautiful relationship, but there's all this unhealed stuff there. My nana's mum lost 2 newborn children on separate occasions and an adult son. So there was the loss there, that she then became an alcoholic for her whole life. So there was the loss, and it was unhealed in my nana's mum, in my nana. What tools do you have back then?
No space, no time, no conversation to have that healing.
Cut it down. Exactly. And so I feel like my mum unknowingly did a lot of the healing. She had 4 children. I think my mum, I don't think she'd give herself credit for it, but I know she did a lot of the healing. And then I had some to do as well. And so a lot of it came up when I was in my early pregnancy, and Victor said to me, you need to write your story. And that's when scripting began for me. I was doing a lot of different manifesting things for years. I think like we all kind of have our little practices, but this was the one that was the most tangible, visceral, like exciting one that just made the most sense. I was like, of course we write our own story, because otherwise we are literally borrowing them, inheriting them, or absorbing them. And, if we're going to take an hour a day on Instagram or whatever, then why wouldn't we have 10 minutes a day to read this? Like it's just, and I think, so that's what I did. And I wrote it for my pregnancy and my birth very early on, and I read it every day. And then as the birth got closer, we made our birth one a little bit more specific, not so specific that there wasn't room, but just specific in terms of how it felt for us and how we felt afterwards. And we read it out loud. We took turns each night reading it out loud for Sol in my belly. And it was just such an intentional pregnancy the whole way through because of all the stuff that came up so early for me. I just refused. It made me mad. I was like, how dare you? And my mum used to always say it too. She was like, nothing pisses me off more than when people are about to have a baby and people come in and tell them how awful it's going to be. Like it's just like, shut up. Like, don't you have something else to offer than to throw all this fear at all of these women who are already carrying it? It made me like angry in a way where I was like, you're not putting this on me. Like I felt protective of the women in my lineage. I felt protective of my daughter. I felt protective of myself. And I just really took upon myself to change the story that was in my body and in my cells. And so that by the whole pregnancy, my body was singing the song that I wanted to sing. And by the time the birth came, it was so expected in my body. And that's without being like, I wasn't naive. Like I know, and I have all the stories. I have a lot of friends who, they elect for a C-section. I've got all of that around me. I'm not just in like a home birth bubble, but I just had all the faith in the world that, and people always say, why do you choose a home birth for your first one? Wouldn't you want a hospital for your first one? I said, why would I doubt my first one and not like, why wouldn't I trust my first one? Like, of course I trust my first one. And it was just so in me that it surprised people. People almost, I think, thought it was arrogant or I was joking or I was spiritually bypassing. And I was no, like, I'm not going to try and make everyone else more comfortable by pretending to be scared or pretending that I don't trust my body, because we don't need more of that. And I want to be able to help the women who are, and just be an example of what it can be to go into birth and be like, I'm so excited for this. I know my body was made for this. I trust my body implicitly. I trust my baby. I trust nature. And of course, if there's something I'm meant to learn through the birthing experience, then that's going to happen, and I'm going to be perfectly equipped for that, and surrender to that, whatever it is. However, I'm not going to go into it expecting I'm going to go into expecting that.
Yeah.
And holding the trust in my body.
I think there's a lot of people now in this generation feeling that they should share their true and honest experiences. And often that can be a negative, medicalized, traumatic birth. And then they go out and they start projecting that onto people. And I call it the gospel according to one. And I really believe now, if you've had a truly negative or traumatic experience, you actually need to share that with someone other than another pregnant woman, because you probably haven't shared it with the right person to help you understand why things went that way, because birth doesn't have to be a traumatic experience. No. It doesn't have to be negative. And so this kind of perpetuating of the negative narrative in our society is one of the most destructive things we can do to our psyches and to a pregnant woman who's in this extremely neuroplastic state.
Yeah, super vulnerable. She already has her own stuff. Like, forget what society is putting on her. She has her lineage things, like everything her maternal lineage experience she's feeling in that moment, and she wouldn't even know it's coming from there. Like, you think about a pregnant woman and where their fears, their deep fears come from, and once they don't even speak, it comes from places they didn't even know. So they're dealing with all of this and healing so much, because this generation right now is healing a lot. Yeah. So that our children won't have to hold it, And it is, I always, after I gave birth to Sol, I would always talk to mums and ask them how their birth was so they could talk to me about it. And so many of them would say, I never actually knew I could be traumatized. I was just told that healthy baby, get on with it. I was like, but what about the healthy mom? Like, what about the healthy mom? And I just hold space for them to talk about it. And because I could, I was equipped to, and I loved being able to do that, because one of my friends was like, she'd not spoken about it once to anyone because she just didn't feel, she had a traumatic experience. So did my sister. And my sister, thank God, knew that she could come to me and just say, I am pissed, and felt hurt and felt spoken to so disgustingly in my most vulnerable time. So I'm glad she felt that. But another friend I saw, I just said to her, tell me about it. And she said, you know what? The doctor told me when he got my baby out via forceps, handed me the baby and said, aren't you lucky that I got this baby out for you? And I was like, what? And like, I just wanted her to be able to feel angry about that. Like, you're allowed to feel angry about that. You can't carry that on into your next one. Like, you as the woman, like, you deserve to be treated with respect in that situation, and you don't have to suppress that or feel like it's not worthy of being felt because you have a healthy baby. Of course it's important to have a healthy baby, but you know that quote circulating on Instagram right now, I don't know who wrote it, but it says everybody wants to hold the baby, but who holds the mum? And it's true, because in the first 3 months, all the baby cares about is the mum. And when the mum is, you know, just, it breaks my heart. It just breaks my heart, especially because I feel so grateful that I had the beautiful experience I had. We were tucked into bed and my husband was there and my midwives were just, you know, watching and check the heartbeat. Joe was just watching, check the heartbeat when she needed to, holding space. You're doing so well, love. Just everybody just trusting me, and how that changed me as a woman, you know. And yeah, I had a friend recently who had a VBAC, and she is forever changed just because she had that experience, and she didn't realize how much healing that would provide for her. And it was just, oh my God, the type of mother she can be to her children now. She feels, she's just like, she's just on top of the world, you know, and she's tired, but she's on top of the world, and she's exhausted, but I don't know, it's just connected. Such an important, yeah.
It's a connection and an empowering and an awakening. It's such, I mean, yeah, it really is. Vagina's the seat of consciousness. It really is. Like Naomi Wolf writes about it, and there's such a powerful connection between how we birth and where we birth through, and where we hold our babies in that sacral space that rustles up all the maternal lineage cobwebs that need to be seen. I really love that you brought in the maternal lineage and healing that, because that is one of the most important things, and that we need to start, I believe, to be able to create an intention for the life and the birth that we want, is to let these things come into your consciousness. And I remember giving birth to Leroy and labouring at home and feeling like I had my mum actually sitting on my shoulder. And it was this weird thing. And, you know, this is like nearly 18 years ago, and I hadn't really done any sort of deep psychosocial preparation for myself. There wasn't anything really available. I didn't travel to the farm or anything like that. And I just couldn't shake it off. I just couldn't shake it off. But I was trying so hard to push through perhaps the degree of consciousness that she brought into her experience. And I know I built upon and I improved. And my second labour, which was a miscarriage, it was an ecstatic experience. That for me was this profound experience of healing and that cycle. But, you know, each one brought its own healing. But to be able to do the healing before, that's a powerful thing. That's a really powerful thing. And you have to get connected to your body, right? We're holding these things in our bodies.
Yeah, we really are. And we don't even realize until the event that we're in, which triggers it, whatever was unhealed. Like, it's in our DNA. Like, it's not just a woo-woo concept. Like, it's in our body. The experience is in our body. Like, we're carrying it in our body. And it's just the realest thing that I've ever been through in the last 2 years is since Soul has been born. Even before, even when I got married, all of these life things have triggered major maternal lineage healing. And I speak about it really openly with Mum, and she speaks about it really openly with me, and we just dive into it, what it was like. And I write letters to my Nana and her mum who've passed, and I don't really know many beyond that, but that's enough for me. Like, there's enough healing with 3 generations back for me that I'm like, I don't really need right now I can't really go past to 4, 5 or 6. But, you know, there's enough there. And, you know, it's just really real. And I think people find it quite a relief. It's our responsibility to to heal it essentially. And most of that just comes from being really super aware from it. And I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. You're just in it and you're just experiencing it and you're just in it. But, you know, it's...
But what was healing for you? So you had this magic guy, Victor, which I'm guessing was kind of like someone that allowed you to, I don't know, when I have a coach and someone asks me a question in a different way, I can feel like new neural pathways like firing up. Yeah. And then I can also do my kinesiology and my chiropractic work. And for me, like getting meditation or just getting on the yoga mat and coming into a space of prayer and connection with God, with the divine, allows me to feel into, to let go of the negativity and feel into what is me and my life in its greatest potential. And I don't know, it has to happen through body and mind, and there has to be strategies and techniques, right, that people can utilize. What did you utilize, do you think? Was it just Victor, Magic Victor?
No, so Victor was he was always there just to help me just clear things. And I have a bunch of people, I suppose, around who are, Victor's been the one I've worked with the longest, and he's, you know, such a friend now. He's amazing. But there's just a whole bunch of different people that I call upon. But I think, you know, when we just think about within ourselves, just saying, just on our own, I remember, I did yoga with you, which was really big because I never really used to do 90-minute yoga. It was too long for me. Yeah. But pregnant, I gave that to myself, and I'm going to start again now here in London, but I gave that to myself. And that was so special for me. The most special part about that yoga class was being with the other women. It felt so special. Like, we didn't even talk, but they were at all different phases of pregnancy, and every week you'd go and you'd see them all get more pregnant, and then one would not be there because she'd have a baby, and then new women would come in with a flatter belly, and then they'd get more pregnant. And it was just so special to share that 90 minutes together every Monday morning. Like, I loved it. And so I had these little things as the pregnancy continued. I had my scripting that I read every morning and every night. I had the pregnancy yoga. I would meditate every morning with Sol, which is funny because now I'm pregnant with number 2. I think I've meditated like once or twice. It's just, I said to Joe, my midwife, yesterday, Joe, I feel like this is a much more, like, I'll tell this baby I love you, and I have written a script for this one. I haven't been as religious reading it this time. I will as we get a little bit closer, but I even had to do some stuff around this pregnancy. You know, there was even fears that came up around this one again. The second child is a whole other experience. It's not just all done and dusted with the first one. Well, that was a great birthing experience. It never ends. It's like, now things come up with my first child again, and then things come up with this pregnancy. Things come up with the second birth. Fears like, well, maybe, you know, just all the stuff. So I'm just starting again with this one, a little bit more relaxed, because I have a toddler, and I don't have 24 hours a day to devote to the pregnancy, like you do when you're the first one. But the same. I'm following the same, because it feels just most natural. It's not like a dogma thing. It's just, I want to be on top of the story because I can see things floating around. I can see things coming up. I want to address them. I am taking the time. I'm going to take the time to go to the pregnancy yoga and the nice, juicy 90-minute class. And just, a lot of the preparation this time as well goes with the soul, like as well, having her involved. But it really, for me right now, is just noticing all the things and being so kind to myself through it. Like, wow, shit, I didn't know. Like, that's something that's been circulating a lot for me lately. That's like a fear. And like, if they feel foreign, like, where did that come from? But
it's like a virus floating around in your system, right?
Yeah. Exactly. So I think right now where I'm at is, like I said to Jo, I feel like I've been more passive this time. And she's like, it's natural. It's just like a baby. You've got a toddler to run around after. But I am, going through the same process, just noticing whatever, and then making sure I have a story written out to become my default, because it's a whole new experience. And, I do have that level of trust in my body, especially added on from soul. But then there's just so much, because then, you know, then we were breastfeeding and I had mastitis a lot.
Yeah.
6 or 7 times.
Wow. That's
it was on my
sore.
book tour. It was a lot. And so my weaning experience when Sol was 18 months, that was probably the most emotional and painful experience for me out of everything, was the weaning experience. Just so emotional. And then that brought up its own stuff. So it's even just thinking about all the things you're going to do again with this baby, it's just never ending. So I think we just have to realize what a big thing it is. Like in our day and age, we have work and we have this and we have all these other things going on. But when we're pregnant, it's like we are like the creator of life. And I think we need to honor the process that we're in, you know, and let it have its space and let it have its moment, and stop and make sure we have time to just pay attention to what's happening and, you know, what we're feeling, and just give ourselves the respect we deserve during this time, and our womb the respect it deserves during this time, and not feel like we're just rushing towards 40 weeks. It's like it's 9 months for a reason. And I think just honoring the pregnancy is honoring ourselves during this time, and just really consciously just being really conscious and mindful about our stories that we're telling ourselves, that we're saying out loud, that we're letting penetrate us. And but there's just so much to it, isn't there?
There is, and it is continual, and it's a beautiful journey to know that we're always healing, and that the brain works by a narrative, and the body and mind are one, and we are these meaning-making machines, and beliefs are the drivers, right, in our stories. And I suppose it has astounded me, you know, over the years, watching people like take the background music of the She Births visualizations. And, you know, I've only got like 5 visualizations, because for me, I don't want to project onto people what their birth is going to feel like or look like. I actually really think I'm very strict at She Births. It's like, I'm not going to say like it's just intensity or it's just pressure or, you know, like it might be, and lucky you, and that's awesome, but it could hurt like fucking hell as well, right? Yeah. It could be.
I mean, it does.
Yeah, right.
I remember
like baby's coming out of your ass for a moment, you know?
Oh, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. And it feels
I told Joe during birth.
Yeah.
I think during my labor, I said, I think I'm going to be in the Guinness World Records for the first person to ever give birth out of my ass. I said that to her after. I thought it in the process of being in labor, in transition. I thought it, oh my God, I'm going to be in the Guinness World Records because I'm going to have a baby out of my butt, and it's the wrong hole. And then after I told her, and she was like, oh, it's like that. It's just laughing. But I was like, oh my God, it really feels like that. But after birth, I said to Eric, fuck. Look, I'm not going to do that again in a hurry. It was super intense. It was, I mean, there's nothing more physically intense than that.
No, it's not a walk in the park.
No, it's absolutely not. Well, my experience, it wasn't a walk in the park.
No, it's not, and it's not for a lot of people. And everyone's sensation, perception and experience and the speed and the endorphins and oxytocin, it's really different and unique for everybody. And, you know, I teach a lot of gymnasts, a lot of dancers, a lot of yogis and smaller pelvises and tighter fascia, and it's going to feel different for them than it does for a bigger pelvis and an islander woman. And then it depends on what position your baby's in. Look, there's so much to birth. So, I mean, that's what I think is interesting, that some people think scripting or doing a visualization is ridiculous because, of course, you can't explain how something is going to feel. But what can you work with? I think you can work with the qualities of a beautiful birth. Like, it's going to feel loving, connected. You're going to feel cared for, supported, respected, strong, vulnerable. Like, I think you need knowledge to be able to write a good script, a good story for yourself about what birth is really right.
Exactly. I mean, it's funny because our birth was swift, but not too swift. It was swift for the first birth, everybody thought it was insanely swift. But it wasn't so swift that I didn't feel it all, you know, and go through the full process and have the full birthing experience. But it wasn't drawn out because there was so much trust there that everything did open. I had a lot of chiropractic work, and affirmations on the wall. I went off social media and emails completely for a month. I was like so in the zone that just talking to the baby every day, writing soul letters, writing my body letters. We had our it was just nothing else matters to me in the world except how much my body knows how much I appreciate her for being supple and stretching and what I know she's about to do, and let my baby know how much I trust her, that she's going to initiate birth at the perfect time, and that I'm going to do my bit, and I've done my bit, and I know my job is trust and breathe, and I'm going to be doing that. And so by the time it happened, it just kind of took me, and I was off. And yeah, we still don't know how long it was. Joe thinks it was about 2 to 3 hours. I think it was a little bit longer. We don't know. We don't, it just
yeah, you don't have fingers in the vagina the whole time measuring dilation.
No. We're just in it. We're laughing for half of it. And the second half of it, like as I go into transition, there was no laughing. But for the first half, there was just so much laughing. It was silent, which I didn't expect. Eric, we had all the she birth acupressure points typed up. Like Eric had them handwritten, actually. We had all the tools but my greatest, it was just the breathing. And he had his hand on my back, and at one point he said, "Honey, you're doing so good." I said, "Shh, just no talking. I just need just complete silence." And I was just in myself, and he made it look so easy. I was like, that is very interesting, because all my energy was in my body. There was, and I thought I would like roar. It was interesting what happens with the second one, but so, you know, it was, I mean, I have my birth script written up. I have multiple because I kept updating it, but it was, on my second one, it was like my birth was the most glorious. I use words like it's just glorious, peaceful, beautiful, smooth. And I even add ecstatic into this one. And because my first one, it was ecstatic. I mean, but how it feels, I think it's how it feels. I mean, I wish I should pull it up somewhere. I can't remember the exact words I used, but I went into just to describing firstly, like as if I was writing the birth after it was done. And so it was on my birth. Right. And then I described the birth. My birth was this. I am so proud of myself, and I'm so proud of my baby. I felt so trusted. And supported the entire time. We had, and then I described the room. We have our affirmations on the wall. We have our playlist on the specific songs. I just feel so in it, so capable, so strong. And it's the most intense thing ever, but I'm breathing and trusting, and I should send it to you. I would love
to read it. But I think it's being real, it's being balanced, you're connecting, you're writing past and present tense. I think is really important for the brain, right? And you're writing it. Yeah, go.
But then going into the descriptors, because mine was, I wrote a lot of descriptors because I want it to be as real in my body as possible. But then afterwards, like, you know, I see my baby. She is the cutest, chubbiest. It's the most relieving, amazing, exciting feeling I've ever known. Eric pulls her out, which he did in the pool. And it really was a remake of what I wrote. It really was, but in its own way, because I left room for that. You know, I didn't want to. I left room for all the, you know, I was on all fours here. I didn't write all of that. Like I left room for all that stuff, and then afterwards, we have a placenta smoothie, and just go into all those details of everything we had planned to. We lay on the couch. She latches immediately. It's the most beautiful moment. So we go into not just, and I even talked about a labor. We labor at home really beautifully and privately, just Eric and I, which we did until about 10:30. Joe got there, and 12:40, Shaw was born. Just describing not just how I felt in it, how I felt before. Like I wrote, I'm just so ready. Just all the things that I wanted to feel before, during, and after. But then I did get quite descriptive with the little things that I'd already, because it helps make the whole story so real. So my affirmations on the wall, it's just so quiet and peaceful. I wish I could have the whole thing because it was so descriptive. It was so descriptive, but in a way that left so much room.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably better that I'm not going into the whole story because I think people can now be like,
no, I think that's really
exactly
helpful.
Yeah.
I like that. Like, so there's room, there's feelings, there's descriptors, there's past and present. I think that's really helpful. And I must say, I really had to play with language and connect into my body and feeling when I was writing my script. I think I got a bit carried away because my script takes me 45 minutes to read.
That's great. Yeah, but what better things are we doing, right? It's like reading the same book every day and it becomes so real in your cells. And then you get to a point where it's boring and that's where you know you do a new one. It's just becoming, you know.
I think I need to do some shorter bite-sized ones so that I can do more every day.
Or record it on the audio. I tried recording myself speaking at one time on the audio, but I could not. It just sounded like my audiobook. I was like, no. It was like, no.
I tried that as well. I think that for me, speaking it and just speaking it actually was a very good process of starting to feel it in my body. And I bring my consciousness down into my body as I'm reading it, not just try and keep it almost up physiologically in my head, but try and feel it down in my body. And does that really resonate with me and my body, that word? Is that the real word? Is that how it really feels?
Yeah, exactly. That's the most important thing, is that you don't try and make it sound, you don't use words that are not you. You've got to write it in your own language, like holy shit or whatever. If you're going to say that, like holy shit, I am so effing proud of myself. Like you've got to write it in the exact way that you'd speak it. If that's capital letters, oh my God. If it's what, can't believe, you know, whatever is your natural, true language, you're writing it and you're informing your body of what to expect. And, you know, there's people who think, well, you know, that's great and everything, but, you know, it's really down to fate. And I think there's two parts to it. I think, firstly, our body is waiting on us to tell us what level of trust we have in it. And I think our body is waiting for us to give it an expectation. It's waiting for us to let it know that we trust it implicitly, no matter what. And it makes me sad a little bit that our bodies that are put on this earth to birth, you know, this is our body's moment, you know, and yet we don't ever send, well, for the most part, I think in Indigenous communities and in the cultures that are not so, that are still hold that sacredness around birth, their body, it's just so natural. Of course they trust their bodies. Of course they trust nature. It's the same thing. But there's so many women walking around who want to have this nice experience, but they're just sending constant messages to their body that I don't trust you, I don't trust you, I don't trust you. And then get into the birthing room and just wonder why the disconnect's there. And I think we have to do, it sucks that we have to consciously and mindfully trust our body, but we do. We have to resend those messages to our body because of whatever happened in our past, perhaps in our childhood, perhaps as a teenager, or, you know, whatever trauma is there. We have to re-love our body and re-trust our body, and also our baby. Like, our baby needs to know that we're feeling, I don't know, like, again, I don't want people to say they're excited about their birth if they're not. That's obviously just lying. But our babies can also feel everything we're feeling for birth, and they're the ones who initiate it. They're the ones who are moving them, you know, with the help of our body, but moving around. So I think there has to be some dialogue. And so, you know, for me, it was just the whole month before, it was letters to my body. And Victor gave me some stuff to read out about just specifics, like with the body, and clearing anything that might have been there. But I was just, the affirmations on my wall were like, I trust my body, I trust nature, I trust my baby, she's almost here, you know, I'm open. It was just, we have to do that work. It's not natural in most people, and we just have to.
It's not, and you're right, like, shit happens, trauma happens, and we disconnect, or we sit in on our butts in front of a computer for 20 years, and we tell our body, don't conceive, don't do this, have sex, don't conceive. So we're telling these no signals, and we're disconnecting, and we're not responding to the signals that our body's been giving to us for so long. And so therefore it has to be a reconnecting, a rewiring, a healing. in order to move forward, as well as looking in the corners and the cobwebs for them to heal the maternal lineage as well. And sometimes I see women having to heal even the lineage that the father's bringing in to the room, because their consciousness has such a big impact on how a woman feels during labour, and what also can unfold. I've seen children born, you know, at the exact same time in the exact same way that their fathers were, and I've seen men put their hand on women during labour and the woman experiences a contraction as pain, and if I do as a doula, she experiences it as bliss. So it's a different feeling sometimes, right? And so the guys have to do, and the partners have to do some work as well, right? And I think Eric really came to the party. He really wrote his script as well, right?
Yeah, he had a script, and he has one now as well for this baby. And he was just really ready, and really, we both went off social media and everything, because we're obviously both going to be in the home when the baby was born. And I think that is why, you know, it was such a beautiful experience, intense. Like I always, because it looks so easy from the outside. When people watch my birth video, they're like, that just looked like a piece of cake. Like but it compared to some, yes. But for me, I was like, it's still the most intense physical thing I've ever done in my life. It still took me to my very edge. It still required all the trust I had in my body be right there the whole time. It's still, you know, when pushing a 9.5 pound baby out of your vagina, you're still like, how is this going to happen? And I remember looking up at Jo and being like, I don't think she's going to fit. And she was like, she's going to fit. Reach down and touch her head. And I did. And then you get like a superpower. But it was still like, oh my God, like I still, every moment throughout it, I had to trust again and trust again and trust again and trust again and breathe again and breathe again and breathe again. And the stage was just set for that. It was just set. Eric was calm. Eric knew, you know, he'd watched all the videos, which he said was the most helpful thing, watching all the stories and the videos, because he was expected if he was ready for me to be screaming or not. He was ready for it all. So when I was like super quiet and just basically everybody just leave me be and I just need to breathe, he was just like, well, I had the easiest job in the world, but his job was in so many ways done before labor started. You know, he was that presence that was exactly what I needed. No one feeling anxious, everybody just feeling calm. And I think that's so important to prepare who you have in there. Absolutely. Because, you know, people bring their own stuff into the room, and, you know, we've got to take care of our own stuff that we bring in, but we can't take care of everyone else's stuff, can we? So it's just, you know, the birth team, it's also important.
It is. It's so influential. Is there anything else you want to share about the sort of scripting and the body-mind connection and the healing lineage? Like, what would you say to someone who's pregnant right now and preparing to have their first baby, or didn't have perhaps the best experience with their first and preparing to have the second? What would you say to that family?
I mean, I just think for the one who's had not had the experience they want, I think you just got to be honest with yourself about that and let yourself be honest about it. Don't feel like you're not entitled to feel shit or broken or hurt or traumatized. Like, you are. Like, this is, you know, you're birthing a baby, but a baby's also birthing its mother. And it's your moment too. It's your time too. It's your rite of passage as well. It's such an important thing. And particularly, you know, in the first 40 days, the ancient protocol, like how a mum is nurtured and nourished and feels in that first 40 days after birth, it sets her up for good or bad health for the rest of her life in so many ways. And so it's not just it would be nice to feel good after my birth. No, it's like essential for the health of the woman. You know, it's something we need to be more owning of and claim. So, you know, I know there's so many women who've just had experiences that some have had C-section, everything, and they're not traumatized by it, and that's great. You know, some of them, this was my experience, it had to be this way, and I feel amazing. That's great.
Totally.
There's some who are, you know, just holding at their body, and so I just think you just need to be honest and know that you're allowed to feel angry with the whoever it was in the birth room who spoke to you like they did, or, you know, said things to you like, you got 2 pushes and I'm wheeling you in here, and all the ways they speak to you in your most vulnerable moment. Like, you're allowed to feel that. You're allowed, you've got to let yourself have that, and then just know that, I mean, again, I'm not like in any ways like a birth coach or anything like that. So I don't really even give specific advice. All I know how to do is share my own experience, because I've actually never been a coach in my life, because I don't feel comfortable giving advice so much. I just don't. I just like people to listen to the stories and trust themselves to know what to do. So I think after listening to this whole episode, just there would have been 1 or 2 things, whether it's the maternal lineage, whether it's the, I need a different birth team, or whether it's having conversation with your mom and your grandma, or if they're around, or even just digging into their life if they're not, or just, you know, thinking about it, or just getting proactive with a script and writing one that you actually really feel, you know, just whatever it is, just start there. Some people might be like, oh my God, I need to go to pregnancy yoga, which I think is great. And I think just check in with who's around, what sort of language and everything is being spoken about, because it's nice when you're pregnant and you get into the pregnant women circles, which a lot of women do. A lot of them are just talking about things that aren't rewarding, and it's just the way it is. So you know, as a woman, you just have to decide if that's going to be rewarding or empowering for you, and know that you're the only one. Like, you're the one. You have so much choosing power in this, more than you think. I think everyone thinks it's just down to fate, see what happens. And like I said, I think there's 2 prongs. There is the experience you're meant to have at the level of your soul. And if you're meant to have a different experience than the one in your script, you're going to have it. But it doesn't mean that you're still not going to feel all the things you wrote in your script while you do it. So I think there are some things that we're meant to learn, perhaps some gifts we're meant to receive that aren't part of our plan. That's not an excuse not to plan, not to consciously choose, not to have this expectation in our body of how you want it to go, because that your baby needs that, and your body needs that, and you deserve to have that leading up to it, you know. And I love getting on the phone to my friends now, and I mean, some friends are just like, I don't know how you birth at home, you know. Then there's other friends who I call them up. I've got one friend who's due in 2 or 3 weeks, and I call her up. She's just like, oh, Pete, I just can't wait for labor to start. I just can't wait. I'm just bothered now. It's like the best thing in the world. And then I can't wait to do it again after that. You know, so I've got friends like that. And I just love it, because that's such a natural conversation for my friends. But then it's also such a natural conversation with other friends who are just like, you are crazy. You know, it's just, but for me, my nature errs on the side of, and it shocks people, because when I have conversation with people like my mother-in-law, who had a very different experience than my mum, I said, I'm so excited to be in labor. She doesn't even know what to say. She's just, okay. You know, so just, but it's not going to change what I, you know what I mean? I think we just have to care more for ourselves and our experience, and honor ourselves more. And it doesn't mean beating ourselves up for what happened in the past, because there's so many factors, and you should never do that. It's just about, if you're done having kids, allow yourself to feel whatever it is you still have to feel. That's fine. But if you still have kids to go, then just take it as an opportunity to love yourself so much that you use this as a time to feel like a trust and a union with your body that you've never felt before. And birth's like the main event, but there's so much before and after it that's still the gift. You know, it's about the birth, but it's not all about the birth at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, as you know, there's so much more. And it's just, we always say this is the greatest honor and privilege of our lives, to be mums and to carry a baby when there's so many women who are longing for that. And I always think about that all the time. When there's, I'm going to get emotional now, when I think about like all the women who are longing for this. I'm not going to slap this experience in the face by doing it the same way as the world would like me to, or dishonor my baby or dishonor my body by not, you know, giving this all I have in terms of my emotions and my work. And it's hard, you know, like the shit that comes up is hard. Like the stuff that came up about my Nana's mum when she lost 2 newborns, the fear of loss that came up for me was like, it was hard, but I got through it, and I spoke to my baby about it, and I spoke to my mum about it, and I spoke to my sister about it, and I spoke to Eric about it, spoke to my midwife about it. It's just, I wasn't going to let it affect, you know, you got to love yourself that much.
Yeah, letting it stick. Yeah, let it move through, let it come, let the feelings arise. I think I love that authenticity in your process, and I love the authenticity that you're providing for other people to be honest about their experiences. And I think you just have to be willing. I think you have to be open and willing, and almost kind of ask for the stuff to come up into your consciousness in order to be able to clear it. And just like you say, we have so much more agency than we realize. And there's always something to learn from birth, even if it goes exactly, in quotes, according to your script. Man, there's so much to learn.
Yeah. You can't plan for it.
I don't regret my first experience, like a transferred home birth into the hospital. I didn't regret it at all. No. I felt like, I felt intuition. I discovered what love and intuition and silence was in the moment he arrived. And I was humbled. I was brought to my knees, and that was exactly where I needed to be. It's an ego dissolution process, and it will happen in the way that it's meant to happen. But if you can start to preempt, if you can start to heal, if you can start to connect, then you can start to script. And then you can start to give the body guidance. And really, you're just connecting the mind to the body, because the body, when I hear your scripts that you've told me the bits already, I'm just like, yeah, that's the way birth goes. Like, that is the way birth should be.
And we've got to expect that. I think people think that most of the time it doesn't go that way, but it's not true. Like, look back in history. I always say to everyone who says to me, the people who haven't given birth or whatever, I'm so scared to give birth. I said, look around at all these people in London right now. Do you know that they all were given birth to? It's the most common thing that ever happens, birth and death. Like, it's the most, there's nothing that happens more often than birth and death. I mean, it's just, and breeding, of course, but
that's right.
You know, I love to look at, and this is why I love the Birth Time documentary that Joe and Jerusha and Zoe are working on, because they go and they film Birthing on Country with the Aboriginal Australian women. And I'm like, those are the women on this earth we need to lean on, because they have, and I think about them a lot too. I'm like, I think about the women in Africa. I think about the women in these countries who they do have such an innate trust in their bodies. And one of my favorite books in the world is The Continuum Concept.
It's the best book ever. Yeah.
The best book ever. It talks about the nature of the whole process and tribes in the Amazon rainforest. And that's where I get a lot of my, I just like to lean on them and remember that's you. That's us.
Remember
the nature of us, and that we are, it makes me feel like, you just feel like Mother Nature. And you're right, it is humbling. I remember after Sol's birth just being like, wow, I could never have just the feeling of birth. It's so much bigger. You know what I mean? It's just so much bigger that it's an immediate humbling. Like, you're like, holy shit. It's like a huge thunderstorm. You're just like, whoa, like Mother Nature is epic. And that's what it's like in birth too. You're just like, whoa, like this is so much bigger than, you just get taken over by this.
Well, you become the divine mother, really. Like, if the body's actually sitting inside a soul, and then during that point of birth, it's sort of like I think you become the divine mother. Yeah. There's a time when you are taken over, by the divine mother, by the Shakti. And that's this huge transcendent moment. Peeling back the layers of the fear and the ego and all of that kind of stuff. So it's a great privilege to go through it, and it's the best job in the world being a mummy, right?
It is. It really is.
It is.
Yeah. It's just the best.
It's the best.
And it doesn't end after birth, does it? Then then there's all the other milestones in life. It's just never
ending. There is. And it's continuous. And I've worked for myself and been a single mum for a very, very long time, and I've still managed to take my son to school every morning and pick him up from school and take him out of school many, many times to travel around the world. And I had no way. We're getting to the end of the journey now. He's about to finish school and go traveling around the world, and I don't regret a single moment that I have spent with him.
So good.
Not a single moment. Yeah, it's so precious. Everything is so sacred. And it's the greatest joy. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, so just enjoy it, and you deserve joy. I think people, from my perspective, you deserve to shine and you deserve to love the process and the journey. You deserve joy.
Like it's okay to enjoy, because there's so much pain in life, but there's so much joy, and we don't really let ourselves learn from the joy. We only let ourselves learn from the pain, and there's so much that pleasure wants to give us. And you know, it's okay to enjoy this journey that has so much hardness in it. It's okay to enjoy it and enjoy the bits that are really enjoyable. And I think we like to worship the hard parts more, because it's not as noble to enjoy, right? So yeah, that's my work right now too, is, well, I'm not gonna over glamorize this part of my life when I'm ignoring this part that's feeling really fucking good, you know? But yeah.
That's great. I love that. And on that beautiful note, let's go back to feeling good. You get to go back and have breakfast in London with your little girl.
Yeah. I am. I'm about to take her to a little parent and child Steiner group that we have.
Oh, cute.
They bake bread together and hold hands.
Yes. They sing their songs as they roll the bread. Do they do that?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so cute.
So cute. It's just 2 hours, and all the mums there are so sweet and funny, and they're just from all over London and all different. It's just the best. It's just such a fun little 2 hours.
Wow.
So that's where we're off to this morning. I hope Sol's put some clothes on, because she was naked and she doesn't realise she lives in London, I don't think.
And that she's still an Aussie girl. Bondi girl, through and through.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, she is.
Well, thank you for your time, darling. I really, really appreciate it. And give my love to everybody, and little pat to your cute little bump, little baby, little baba. And we miss you in Bondi.
No, I miss Bondi so much. I'm like, I need some Orchard Street. I need some Dharmshala. I need all this stuff. But it's okay. London, when we're around London, it's just beautiful too. It is. Forest and everything.
All right. Well, thank you so much again for your time. Lots of love, and we'll see you soon.
Okay. See ya.
Bye. Thank you for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed the show. Remember to subscribe so that you don't miss out on our next conversation. Share with a friend and leave us a review.